Hello, everyone. Welcome to the EJG3 show. This is your host, Eddie Gallagher. I am here today with a special guest, Mr. Jake Kessler. Jake, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Eddie?
I'm doing really good. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so let's talk some football. There was a very controversial play in the Giants uh, Eagles game last Sunday, and I didn't really talk
hmm
about it, but you're the perfect man to talk to about this. Absolutely, you're wearing your Giants. You might not be happy about that play, but so obviously Philadelphia they lined up for tush push. It seemed like Jalen was trying to reach over and try to get the first down. And then uh, I believe one of the Giants players, you know, they,
Tavon.
yeah, Savon Thibodeau, he recovered. It was like he like grabbed it out of his hands. So it was like a fumble. The
hmm
refs overruled it because it was like over. I mean forward progress.
Yeah, forward progress.
Yes, and obviously Eagles got the ball back. They scored a touchdown. Really kind of changed the momentum of the game. Obviously the tush push has been very controversial. Um, is it time to ban it?
Uh, I think so. The tush push I know is like it's been controversial for like the entire last I don't know a couple years. The Eagles have been doing it since the first time they did it. I feel like it's just been pushed to to for them to ban it or they should do something about the play. I don't think the tush push is inherently the problem. I think it's the officiating with the play because that play in particular seemed to be very it was very nitpicky. I didn't see where the forward progress, why when they call forward progress and when they don't. See if Jalen Hurts didn't get across the line, when would they blow the whistle? That's when I didn't understand that. It made no sense to me saying Kayvon Thibodeau gets that ball back, then they blow the whistle and call it forward progress. What would have happened if Jalen Hurts didn't get to the line that fast? And would they have extended the play because he was going to go for a first down, or would they have blown it dead? They just need to get right when they should blow the whistle on that play if Jalen Hurts is stopped, which he was still actively reaching forward and he was not down by contact because his knee wasn't down, he was never down by contact, and he actively reached the ball out. So I don't understand where they got that judgment from to call that forward progress, which made no sense. Then it completely shifted the momentum of the game, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a fumble, and I think we've seen it with the tush push in that Eagles Chiefs game where some of the Philadelphia guys have been false starting.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more the officiating. If we're gonna do it both ways, like, hey, if one of the defense players jumps outside because the tush push is, happening, then we got to make sure that the offense gets penalties too. You know, uh,
Yeah.
that is a huge concern of mine. Like, first of all, they are jumping, so please call it. And number two, you know what? If he's still going, if he's still pushing, you can't call it forward progress. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, this the play's still going. And I think, yeah, they have it's not a tush push problem, it's an officiating problem, especially I mean, even the Eagles when the Giants and Eagles played on Thursday night football a couple weeks ago, they replayed a false start they had when they ran the tush push four times in a row, which I think that's a little ridiculous and kind of ruins the game, I think. But they still had a false start that they didn't call. They're not calling things that should be called. It's a legal play if they do it correctly. But if they're not going to officiate it correctly, then I think it's more of an internal thing and not necessarily like a ban on just because anybody could run that play. You can have any team in the NFL go down and say, I want to do the tush push. And no one's stopping the other teams from doing it. But it seems like there's so many missed calls with that play in general. So I think that's why it's getting all the flack that it's getting right now because there's so many missed calls that are associated with it.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I totally agree. They need to fix the officiating. I mean, is it a hard play to officiate? That's a real question. I don't know the answer to that. Um, but yeah, it's concerning because it's literally an unstoppable play for uh the Philadelphia. But it seems like every time I see other teams trying to do the tush push, they struggle with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like anytime they get to, I think in a way, I don't think they should ban it, but I think it kind of ruins the game, especially the short game, because like anytime the Eagles are on need 1 yard or 2 yards, that's what they're doing. You already know what they're going to do, and it's like you might as well just let them have it because they're going to do it. And then the refs, if they start not, if they start calling forward progress on certain play. Like Jalen Hurts messed up and fumbled the ball. That was a fumble, and most people agree it's a fumble. But the referees decided forward progress, and they still ended up getting a first down. So if they're not going to at least call it fair, something needs to happen. I don't know.
Obviously, Scadaboo got injured. He's out for the season. What did that do to the Giants locker room? It seems like he was the soul of that team.
Yeah, that's obviously the worst thing. I mean that was probably the most devastating thing from that game. I feel for the guy, and I think he was just a really good, just a stud, just a football player. I love watching him. It sucks I'm not gonna be able to watch him anymore, but I think he's still going to be a part of the locker room. There's no doubt about it. He's still going to be there and still have motivation for the team. And I think Jackson Dart is a good leader. It's not just on Cam Scadaboo, and you can't really put it on just the rookie. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's just unfortunate, especially with a team that's been struggling. And we didn't expect a ton from this season, but I hated to see him go down. But I still think they're going to play hard for him either way. They have a tough schedule, but yeah, it really sucked to see him go down.
Yeah, look, I think Giants do have some good pieces. They have a good D line. I feel like they got the quarterback. I feel
Mhm.
like they got the wide receiver and neighbors. They got a running back in Scadaboo. The O line is a little shaky. They gotta. I mean, I know they have a good left tackle, in Thomas.
Mhm.
But do they have the coach? That's the real question.
Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely good pieces on the team. I've noticed they're funner to watch this season, and last season I stopped watching towards midseason because it was just hard to watch. They weren't scoring points, and I think they fixed that. They've at least learned to move the football, and that could have been a quarterback problem, but I mean, even without Malik Neighbors, they've been scoring points, 30 points a game, which was nice to see. I mean, obviously they struggled against the Eagles, but I think that was a bigger problem. Um, I don't know. Daboll could be I don't know if they should keep Daboll or let him have one more year with the quarterback that he chose, because he wanted Jackson Dart and he didn't really want to work with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones was kind of in a bad position. I think they have a bigger problem than just head coach. I think it's defensive. We needed new defensive coordinator and offensive, I think. Um, I don't know when does it break though for Daboll. He obviously has a bad record, and he's been there longer than most coaches. I think would be in his position. So I I think they probably stick out the season with him, depending on how many games we win. If I don't know if they're going to move on for him. If they don't win more than five, I would assume they might move on from Daboll, but I don't know.
I don't know. I like Dable. I think look. I wish he could stop yelling. Stay calm, stay cool, and collect. But I mean, look, he does have temper. I think he's a good coach. I mean, he got Daniel Jones to a playoff victory, but look at his success with the Colts. I mean, seriously. I mean, I think Dable
Mhm.
needs to definitely win games. I think that seat is hotter, you know, and 2 games so far. You give up 33 points in the fourth quarter to Denver. Dallas. I mean, you should have won that game. I mean, you play this prevent defense. And
Yeah.
some of the players don't like that. Yeah, no, I think Dable's a good offensive coach. I'm just not sure that he's a good head coach. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I kind of get that. Like he's made some bonehead decisions. That's the other thing is like I think back on some of the games we definitely should have won, and he has some time management issues, and sometimes he goes for it when he shouldn't. You know, we've had issues with our kicker, and he's decided, hey, let's go for 2 points instead, and it's not paid off. And then choking, yeah, the 33 points against Denver is unacceptable. You can't do that when you're, especially when you're up 19 in the fourth quarter. That's you have to look at as a win. But that's why I think the Giants definitely, if they're not going to change from Daboll, they need a new defensive coordinator because he has no idea what he's doing. I don't think prevent defense with the line they have is not a good idea. And obviously he did it against Dallas and then he decided to do it against Denver, and it's just not working. So I think there's some scheming issues with defense, especially with all the they gave up so many run yards against the Eagles, and uh, their secondary is really weak right now. There's a lot of injuries on the team as well, so you can't really fault Daboll for the injuries that are happening right now. Um, but you just have to be able to win the winnable games. And I don't think he's been able to prove that. I've seen enough games where we should win, and then at the end it all falls apart. And that's kind of the difference between a good coach and a bad one is when you win the ones in the end. And I don't think he's been able to really do that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Okay, let's go to the AFC North. Obviously, Lamar Jackson is expected to be back this Thursday playing against the Dolphins. Obviously, Bengals, Joe Flacco with a nice story, but it seems like they're kind of done. You know, we know Cleveland's tanking, so it's really between Pittsburgh and the Ravens. Now, I didn't really necessarily give up on the Ravens, even when Lamar Jackson was hurt, but I knew Bengals and Cleveland were toast. So, and I don't believe that Pittsburgh is that good. Who would you give the edge to in that division right now?
I I still I think would give it to Pittsburgh, but you
Oh
all
my
your eyes
gosh.
all you want. You got to hear me out though. I think the only I don't know. It's a double-edged sword because with Lamar, they obviously haven't had Lamar Jackson, and he's coming back. You said against the Dolphins, correct?
He's expected, yeah.
Okay, if he's expected to come back, that gives them obviously their main quarterback back. That's their weapon. That Lamar Jackson is really that team, and obviously Derrick Henry has a role, but obviously he's not going to be able to do it himself. He's running back, so you have to have a good leader in that spot. And their offense is built around Lamar Jackson's style of play. So, but even they had a pretty rough start to the season when Lamar went down against the Chiefs. They still didn't have a good record at that point. They still lost games against the Bills. They lost against the Chiefs. They obviously those are two tough teams, but those are you expect the Baltimore Ravens to play well with Lamar, and they still weren't doing that. And the only edge I would give the Ravens over the Steelers is because they have an easier schedule, I think,
Who,
for the rest of the
Steelers?
season. No,
Or the Ravens have?
The Ravens have an easier
Yeah,
schedule, I
yeah, yeah.
think. So but as of right now, Pittsburgh has a better record, but Baltimore has to, if they can win the rest of their games or most of their games, they obviously have it. I don't think Pittsburgh would be able to keep up if they have a tougher schedule. But I think if the Ravens can play good against bad teams and win most of their games,
Yeah, look, I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers has done its job. I think he's actually played pretty well. That defense is sketchy. I mean, you give up 32 plus points to Joe Flacco, which I get it. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, they're a great wide receiver duo. But you give up 30 plus points to the Jets. Uh, their defense is not that good. I mean, and it's very old and expensive. That's number one. And number two, uh, Aaron Rodgers, nice start, but I don't really believe in him. I think he'll go down, a little down, just because of age. Weather will be colder, you know. Uh, and look, the Ravens' schedule is easier. And look, I'm not going to give up on Lamar Jackson. I mean, that's the best quarterback in the division.
yeah, it is. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has played not just well, he's played better than anyone expected him to play. That's the thing. He's playing very well for like nobody thought they saw him on the Jets for 2 years and were like, oh, a year pretty much, and they saw he probably doesn't have it anymore. Who knows? He's going into another new team and is in another year, and he's 41 years old. So I mean, he's not Tom Brady, but we forget. You got to forget, like people forget how good Aaron Rodgers
No, look,
really is.
he's a
Like
Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm not.
100%. And I
I
think
just
he's the most talented quarterback that talent wise that we have seen in I don't know ever maybe. He's so talented.
I'm not sure.
Five
Look,
MVPs or four MVPs
most
talent wise. I'm not
talented. I
saying
mean,
success. I'm saying pure talent as a quarterback. He's one of the best we've ever seen, if not the best. So I mean, obviously he's not the same guy he was when he was, you know, but only 4 years ago he won an MVP. So I mean, he knows how to win football games. So I mean, but Pittsburgh obviously has that shoddy defense. So
yeah.
I don't
Look,
know.
I'm going Ravens. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all those Steeler fans. But look, I think the Ravens are the best team in that division. Now look, I think they're getting some defensive guys back. I mean, that's the only concern is their defense, not really their offense. On both sides, but I'm talking
Yeah,
specifically about the Ravens.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. It seems I'd see how they play. They're a better team on paper, and they have a good coach, and obviously Tomlin's a great coach as well. But I think it's going to be one of those classic years where it's Ravens Steelers at the end of the day, which is nice to see. I mean, everyone's counting on the Bengals. I don't even know if Joe Burrow. I haven't heard anything about Joe Burrow, but
I they said mid December maybe, but
yeah, it'll
it,
probably be too late by then.
yeah, it seems like the Bengals will be out of it. Um, Probably the most surprising teams this year have been the Colts and the Patriots. Should we believe in them?
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, definitely, they're not winning games for no reason. They're not just like the thing with the Colts. I'll start with them. Is like obviously Daniel Jones is playing well above anyone thought he'd play. I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's playing good football, and he's on a team that's competent. He's got such a great O line and an offense around him. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor's having like obviously an offensive player of the year season. He's already got 14 touchdowns. So I
I would
mean,
vote him MVP. I mean, I think a running back should be MVP. Why do we always have to give it to a quarterback? That doesn't make sense to me.
yeah, I don't like that either. I think Barkley should have. If anybody was going to get MVP last year, it should have been Barkley. I mean, and if Jonathan Taylor keeps playing like he is, he's like on pace for well over 20 touchdowns. So you can't. How are you not going to at least have him in that discussion? But I think the Colts as a whole, you got to take them serious. They have an easier schedule, but they've played some tough teams and still beat them.
I mean,
So
look, I think Denver's a good team. They beat them. They they
beat
they
the Chargers.
they crushed the Chargers, which I was totally shocked. I'm like, no way, you're not going into Los Angeles and beating the Chargers. No, they absolutely crushed them.
Mhm.
Uh, and look, I mean, I like Pittman. I like Downs, the wide receiver. I like their defense. Shane Steichen, he's a great offensive coach. They're playing at a high level, but man, their their schedule has been pretty easy, uh,
Yeah,
to say the least. But they did beat two teams that are probably expected to be in the playoffs in the AFC. Though I got to give them credit. I'm not going to deny it.
yeah, they've been they're not just like barely winning either. I mean, obviously they have some easy games against the Titans and the Texans and they it's not like it's super difficult, but they're still scoring a lot of points. So they're still scoring. I think they have the highest point differential in the league. So it's not like they're just scraping by teams. They're handling them and just kind of walking to the finish line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear exactly what you mean. All right, so let's go to the Patriots. Um, I believe in them, brother. I believe in the Patriots. I,
Wide
I know what
receivers today.
Vrabel is. Drake May, he's improving at the quarterback. He can really throw and he can move. He can really move. You know, not the strongest weapons that he has, but good enough weapons to get by. I think to be able to be a good quarterback, you have to deal with not playing with the best of the best. And Drake May, he's up there in the MVP conversation. Um, I've been really impressed with the Patriots, and I saw them in person. It's good defense, quality young quarterback. But the question
Yeah.
is, will they win that division? Uh, I mean, they can. I mean, look at their schedule. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, I
But
think they have the easiest schedule left.
I mean, the question is that team is that quarterback just too young? That's the real question.
I don't think there's a such thing as too young of a quarterback. I mean, obviously the experience comes along with it. But Drake May's played really well. So, I mean, he's got over 200 yards easy each game. He hasn't been throwing a lot of turnovers. He's been playing well for obviously the team. Honestly, I can't name. I'm not big into the Patriots and that division. I can't name a receiver on that team. I don't know much about the Patriots anymore because they've kind of fell off ever since Belichick was gone, and obviously the last few years of Belichick was not great, and then he left. I think the benefit of Drake having a new coach has really done well for him because he's able to just get a fresh start, and they've played way over their expectations this year. Everyone thought they were going to be a garbage time team this year, and they've actually done really well.
I didn't think they were going to be garbage. I thought they would battle for a playoff spot. Because that's just how much I respect Vrabel. Um, but yeah, no, they could probably be the number one seed. I mean, I don't think they're. I'm not predicting that, but if you look at their schedule, they can probably get to the number one seed, but they won't. They won't. Just because young, inexperienced. I think yes, nice run, nice story, but I think once we get into December, that money month, I think they'll come back to earth.
I I don't disagree, but I also think they have with that easy schedule, it could be easy for them to get up there and have a high seed. And they're obviously, I think 100% they're guaranteed to make the playoffs. I don't know about winning the AFC East, but obviously you have the Bills in there. I mean, it's going to be between the Bills and the Patriots because there's two other joke teams in there. But I mean, depends on whenever they play again and how that goes and how Josh Allen decides to play the rest of the year and the Bills hold up, and we'll see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Hey, let's get to the Bills. They're facing the Chiefs this week. Probably the biggest game of the week. I mean, look, obviously, Bills are. I believe they're 4-1 against the Chiefs in the regular season. Uh, Chiefs are 4-0 versus the Bills in the playoffs. Obviously, two of the best quarterbacks in the league. Bills defense is struggling. Seems like the Bills offense has been struggling too, even though they put up 40 points against Carolina, but that's not saying much. Um, how do you see this game shaping up?
I would say it's probably going to be I don't know. It's probably going to be one of those classic matchups that they've had. Obviously, it's going to be very hyped up, and the Chiefs has kind of gotten on their roll a little bit. They're starting to do a little better on offense. They're finding their weapons. They're using their running backs. I think Pacheco is going to be out, though. I saw he was injured, but I don't know. I think it's going to be another high scoring thing. The Bills' defense has been struggling a lot, and I think Josh is going to have to just take command. McDermott's going to have to, okay, we have to play classic Bills football again and try to obviously they know how to handle the Chiefs in the regular season. I think it's just going to be another classic matchup and it's going to be high scoring. That's my prediction.
Um, yeah, look, I mean, obviously, I'm a Bills fan. Here's what I want to see. I want to see a pass rush, right? I know they'll probably be missing it all, but I still want to see a pass rush from the Bills. I also want to see the passing game improve. I mean, I know McDermott, after I believe it was his Monday press conference, he said that our passing game needs to improve, basically. And I want that to be improved. I want them to show it. I mean, look, I think they can throw the football. I mean, I think they're very capable, but I mean, Keon Coleman, he hasn't been that dude since about the Baltimore game. I think I think the Bills will be fine. I don't think it'll be a blowout, even though Kansas City's been rolling. But this is a big game. You know, Kansas City, I believe, is not in the playoffs right now. I believe they're outside looking in, and they're third place in that division. So it's a must-win for them as well as the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta. It's tough. The Chiefs got a tough division, so they got a lot to play for. I mean, the Bills have the Patriots as their competition, and obviously they're the two top seeds in their division. Uh, I think the Bills just have to, yeah, like you said, they got to get their offense going, their weapons involved. You have to. Josh Allen has to just start having time in the pocket as well. I mean, watching them against the Falcons, it was kind of a disaster. Josh was running around, and he just didn't have time to throw to anybody. They weren't getting their weapons involved, and I think the Bills' defense needs to. They got to just stop the run and the pass. I mean, they weren't firing. Obviously, they handled the Panthers pretty well. I didn't see that game, but if you want to compete with the Chiefs, you got to get to Mahomes, and you have to be able to put points up on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, look, I think yes, this is a fun matchup, but I expect these two teams to play each other again in January, and I think as a Bills fan, you got to beat them in the playoffs. I mean, yeah, it's fun beating them in the regular season, but you want to beat them in January. That's what this game is really all about. This is kind of a preview game to January. I mean, just like Manning and Brady, we knew that they were going to face each other at the end. I expect the same this year.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that the new generation kind of it's been Josh Allen, Mahomes, and I think it's time for Josh Allen to have to be able to. I mean, obviously it's not all on him, and he's just the quarterback, and obviously the whole team has to play well. But I think it's just when they have to step up. It has to be obviously they want to win this regular season game, and they have been winning the regular season games against the Chiefs. They obviously know they can beat the Chiefs, but this if this is a precursor to January, then they just got to execute. So
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, I mean, Kansas City has lost some bad games. I mean, they lost to the Jaguars, so um, it doesn't matter if Chiefs or Bills lose this game. I mean, the sky is not falling. I expect both of those teams to make the playoffs, make a deep run. Um, but yeah, no, it should be an exciting game. Now, in my humble opinion, I think Josh needs to be Superman. Uh, and I don't want him to be Superman. But I think if he's going to beat the Chiefs, he needs to be Superman because the Chiefs right now are playing at a high level.
yeah, and it's hard. I mean, Josh has had experience, and then obviously this is not the best Bills team that we've seen play the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs have had their struggles early in the season. Uh, the Bills have been struggling on and off. It's hard. I mean, Josh, if he's going to be that, obviously he's elite and he won the MVP. He needs to show that. And they have weapons, but it's not the same weapons that he used to have. But he knows how to make something out of nothing, and they need to be able to keep doing that and win games against their biggest opponent, I would say.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you with that. Speaking of the AFC West, I mean, obviously you got the Chiefs, Denver, and the Chargers. I mean, I'm a really big believer in Denver this year. Chargers, you know, they have their moments, but when Joel is healthy, it seems like Herbert plays at a high level. But when he's out, Herbert plays not to his potential. I think that division's going to be tight. I mean, look, I get it. You know, Kansas City should be the favorite, but if they lose this game, I expect they'll be like 2 games back, and that is a haul to, you know, I don't know. I mean, I believe Denver is going to win that division, in my personal opinion. Seeing it today, right now.
Yeah, they've been playing really. They just like hit their stride, and obviously it's a tough division. The Chargers, I don't know. I'm kind of not like a believer in them because if they don't have, like you said, if they don't have Joe Alton, if they don't have an offensive line that's protecting Herbert, it's kind of dead in the water. They have been able to produce that offense. I mean, we saw it against. I watched the Giants beat them, and it just seemed like they let people. The defensive line was just kind of walking through the Chargers, and they had a lot of injuries. If they got those pieces back on the offensive line, obviously they can be competitive. And there's Herbert's still a really good quarterback, but I mean the way Denver's playing, they have a great defense. I mean, if they still the last time I checked, they have top two defense in the league. So uh, it's tough. I think if the Chiefs, yeah, if the Chiefs lose against the Bills, then I don't know if they'll win the division. I don't think so with the Broncos playing the way they are.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Hey, I just want to say, thank you for coming on the show, man. This was a lot of fun, and you're more than welcome to come back.
Yeah, there's no problem. I had fun doing it. I had no problem. I love talking football, you know that. So yeah,
Hey,
anything to support.
yeah, hey, make sure if you're watching the show, make sure you like and subscribe. See you next time.
Yeah.